There's one. I got one. I got one. I got a bass. I got a bass. Yes, sir, son. Chatterbait time. Tell you what, folks, I'm going to show you the ABCs of catching bass on a chatterbait. I got a nice big one on here, 5 or 6 pounds. Hey, I'm going to try to show you some more really good fishing, and I'm going to show you just how to catch these big old bass. It's early in the morning. It's the middle of December. We're in South Florida, and we're catching beautiful, beautiful bass. Beautiful, beautiful 5 pound. That's a beautiful fish. Okay, chatterbaits. What is a chatterbait? Well, let me just show you what it is. A chatterbait is nothing but a jig with a vibrating blade. It's a vibrating jig. It's a chatterbait. And this one is the 1/2 ounce jackhammer series. And I'll explain a lot more about what the jackhammers are and what the regular chatterbaits are. All the different complements of the tail. You notice this is it's a special Yamamoto Seiko tail. It's a brand new thing that Brett Hite, one of the top guys who's developed so much of this chatterbait fishing. Brett Hite is from the West Coast, and he's come to the East Coast, and he showed us East Coasters a few things about chatterbait fishing. He's won a big tournament on Okeechobee, won a big tournament on Seminole. Anyway, chatterbait fishing is really, really a great thing. Let me tell you a little bit about why I'm using it today. The water temperature's in the low 70s, and it's more or less wintertime. Okay, what's happening now is, even though it's kind of warm right here, it's cold everywhere else in the country. Chatterbaits are basically for cool weather. I've done way, way better on a chatterbait in the wintertime in the cool weather than I have in the hot summer. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I have 2 or 3 different kinds of chatterbaits. I have the lightweight ones for fishing the shoreline like we're doing, and I have some heavyweight ones for fishing the offshore structure, which we'll do a little bit later in the day. But for right now, let me just tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to take this 7.5 foot rod, and I'm going to kind of go with Brett Hite's formula. Brett is so successful. He takes a 7 to a 7.5 foot rod, about medium action, like this favorite rod by Emperor series by favorite. Okay, he's mixing it up with 20-pound fluorocarbon. That's 20-pound fluorocarbon. That's really, really important. That's what he recommends 100%. And this happens to be a narrow spooled Solus reel by favorite. It's a good casting reel. Okay, my deal is I'm just throwing it up ahead on this shallow water. Just let it sink a little bit. I'm just kind of reeling it along. This is just a shallow water bite. Now, as it's early in the morning, the fish are chasing stuff. So I'm going to fish it faster right now. As the morning progresses, I'm going to start dropping it and fishing it like a jig on the bottom. But for right now, see, that's the thing about this swimming jig. This is a chatterbait, it's a jig. But because of the vibrating blade, you can use it as a swimming jig. It swims along and it vibrates along. So it's a good casting lure that you can just cast out like this and just reel it along. Just reel it along. Okay, let's just go forward. I'll just show you, catch a fish or two if I can, and just show you the technique. Now I'm holding the rod in a strike position. The one thing about chatterbait fishing, it's different. Jig fishing in general is different than plastic worm fishing. Plastic worm fishing, you fish the rod up some to feel the bottom. When you get to strike, you drop the rod down and set the hook. That's plastic worm. With a jig or a chatterbait, you hold the rod in the strike position the whole time. So I'm going to make my cast. I'm going to hold it in the strike position. It's a heavy enough rod, I can set the hook right now when he hits it. Okay, he didn't hit it. I'm just going to ease along this shoreline, make a bunch of casts. We're fishing up one of the many, many gravel pit areas of Florida. You know, when they developed South Florida, they needed a lot of gravel, a lot of dirt, a lot of rock for construction. And so this is a construction pit right here. This is an old pit that's been mined for the dirt and for the rock, you know, some 10 or 15 years ago. If you look on Google Maps, you'll find hundreds of these places all around the Fort Myers and Naples area, just hundreds and hundreds of spots like this. Okay, I'm going to key in on points. You know, one of the things about shallow water is always think about points. So always, when you come to a point, throw past the point. Always throw past the point like I'm doing now. I'm just reeling it like a little small crankbait. Just kind of reeling it kind of slow. Just kind of reeling it slow. And he didn't bite. Okay. Maybe get a little deeper. Go past, always throw past the point. Throw past the, whatever you consider the ambush point. You know, bass are predators and they're going to seek, if they can, some overhead cover in the form of some weeds or something. So whenever you go to throw at a patch of lily pads or a point of reeds, always throw past it. Don't just throw to it. Throw past it. If you throw right to anything, you scare the fish. So what you want to do is throw past it so you don't scare them all crazy. You know, they're sitting there. It's no wind blowing right now, and it's real calm and collected. And if they hear something pop right on top of them, it's liable to scare them. But I'm throwing 5 or 10 foot past them, 10 foot past them. There's one. Good one, good one, good one, good one, good one. Yes, sir, son. Come on. Oh, yeah. Another shallow water fish right off the edge of the bank. Nice big 4 or 5 pounder. I'll tell you what, folks. This chatterbait fishing produces some monster bass. It really, really does. Big, big, huge fish. 4, 5, and 6 pounds. Ow, ow. Hit my ankle. Okay, okay. Come on. Huh. Yes, sir. Nice bass. These little boats are kind of a little tricky. I like these little tracker boats. They're great. And these little ponds that I'm fishing in right now, hey, that's not, you know, 4 or 5 pound bass. That's pretty good. Again, it's all in a matter of the presentation. In this case, the cowboy's a big part of it. The whole key to this chatterbaiting is a nice accurate cast to the shore. And I'm just kind of reeling it slow and easy. And those bigger fish are kind of taking it on a straight retrieve. I've caught some real monster fish. Just kind of just easing it along. Come on, come out with your fins up. Come out with your fins up. The jig is up. The swimming jig is up. In this case, it's a swimming jig. And oh, might have been a strike then. Couldn't tell. The fluorocarbon is more sensitive than monofilament, and that's why Brett Height likes the fluorocarbon. He can feel the strikes and feel the bait a little better on the fluorocarbon. And for some reason, I've asked him about braid, and I said, Brett, what about the braid? He said the braid is great. You feel the bait, you feel the strikes, but for some reason he loses a lot of fish on braid. In other words, the braid's not as good a, oh, I hung up. Braid's not as good to keep, the fish get off on braid. It seems like it happens. Now, one thing about a chatterbait, you do get hung up. I'll have to admit, you get hung up some, but it's not bad. You can get it through most of the stuff. In this case, I don't know what I'm hung on. And we'll just get over here and get it off, see what happens. There's a good one. Not real big. I don't think he's that big. I don't know. I can't tell. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, go ahead and wipe it off. These are big old fish. Big old fish. Woo! Big old 6 or 7 pounders. I don't know. They're just big, big, big fish. Big fish, son. That's the kind of fish you get with a chatterbait. It's just a bigger fish bait. I'm telling you, folks, if you want to catch some really big quality fish like I'm catching today, sure, Florida is one deal, but even Connecticut or California or any place else you go, there's always a chatterbait bite, particularly in the cool weather, for really quality fish like that. Big 5, 6, 7, even 8, 10 pound fish, just giants. Okay, let me let that one go. And I'll put another cowboy on. The cowboy is the deal. They just are biting it. And like I say, you don't catch very many little ones. You catch a couple little ones, but not very many. You're catching great big fish for the most part. So run that thing right down the center. Right down the center. Come right down here like this. Now, let me explain that retrieve. I was just throwing it straight to this bank. I wasn't doing anything. I was just throwing it right to the bank like that, and I was just reeling it along. Just reeling it along. So you can see it in shallow water, for the most part, it's just a straight retrieve, just kind of slow and easy. You just kind of ease it along, get your rod in the strike position. And that one, it kind of hit it and missed it, or something, maybe a smaller fish hit it, I don't know, something hit it. And I kind of missed it, and so I set back, and then all of a sudden he loaded up on it again. But they'll come back on it a lot of times, just like a plastic worm. So don't give up. If you do get a strike and it misses it, just keep going with it. He's liable to come back and get it. That's pretty shallow right there. I got one. I got one. I got one. He hit it. He hit it. I got him. 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 Oh yeah, look at that guy. Big old bass. Big old bass. I'm telling you what, folks. I knew I'd find him out here. Big old giant fish. He hit it on the way down. So I tell you, we really got the thing going now. Big old fish on the shoreline. Big old fish out here in the middle. The chatterbait's the deal. This is a good big bass too. Nice big bass. Oh, son. That's what it's all about. Big giant fish like this. Oh, son. That's what it's about. Chatterbaits out here off the shore. Okay, let's try another deal here. Wow-wee. What a fish. What a fish. Big 6 or 7 pounder maybe. I don't know, I don't have a scale. I don't know how big he is. Pretty decent fish though. That's the kind of bait and that's the kind of thing you can do. Big old healthy bass. It's just never been caught before. It's just as fat as can be. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous bass. The offshore bite. Now that fish hit it on the way down. I was casting and all of a sudden the line only sunk about 5 or 6 feet. And it was a strike. I'm gonna put another chatterbait on and throw in that same area, pretty much on top of it now. And see what happens. See, I'm in 10 feet of water right here. I'm gonna back up a little bit. Because what happened, second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 5 seconds. Yeah. That was so cool. See, if I hadn't been watching the line, I'd have never got that fish. I saw the line and it just stopped at about, and I knew it was deeper than that out here. It stopped after about 3 or 4 seconds. So the fish hit it on the way down. It was a suspended bass. So there's some big fish out here in the deep water as well. We saw a few big ones in the shallow water. And now we're catching them out in deep water. But the chatterbait, the whole key is chatterbait fishing. Chatterbait's it's a big bass lure. I'm telling you, if all I had to do was had one lure to fish for just winning a tournament, a chatterbait might be the best thing. If they bite it. You know, they don't always bite it. They don't always bite it. Okay, folks, I hope you learned something about chatterbait fishing. You know, I enjoy doing these YouTube videos. I post every Wednesday about 6 o'clock and I post every Sunday about 6 o'clock. And on Fridays, I do an update called What's Happening, Roland? And I talk about the highlights of the week. But anyway, hey, listen, I appreciate you watching and please subscribe. Thank you.